Maya's world was a blur of motion and grit. Not the shiny, sponsored motion of the runners she saw in magazines, but a raw, determined kind. Her track shoes, once a vibrant blue, were now faded and cracked, held together by more hope and sheer will than actual stitching. Each scuff and tear told a story of countless miles pounded on cracked asphalt, a story of dreams chased on a shoestring budget. She lived with her grandmother in a small, weather-beaten house on the edge of town. The house wasn't much, but it was filled with love and the aroma of her grandmother's cooking. Grandma Elena worked tirelessly at the local diner, her hands gnarled but her spirit unbroken. She was Maya's biggest cheerleader, always reminding her that strength comes from within. Mija. Maya wasn't just running for herself, she was running for her grandmother, for a chance at a better life, a life where they didn't have to worry about bills and worn-out shoes. She ran with a fire in her heart, a fire fueled by hardship and hope. Every morning before school, Maya would lace up her dilapidated shoes, a ritual that took longer each day as the laces threatened to snap, and head to the park. The park was her sanctuary, a small patch of green amidst the gray of their neighborhood. The track was uneven, riddled with cracks and patches of missing asphalt, but to Maya, it was perfect. It was her training ground, her battleground, the place where she honed her skills and steeled her resolve. She ran with a fierce determination, her breath coming in ragged gasps, her muscles burning. But she never stopped. She pushed herself harder each day, driven by the image of a finish line and the possibility of a brighter future. Sometimes, after a particularly grueling run, she would sit on a nearby bench, examining her shoes. She'd carefully clean the dirt from the cracks, trying to prolong their life. She knew they wouldn't last forever, but she couldn't afford new ones. So, she made do, patching and mending, pouring her heart and soul into keeping them together. She knew she was different from the other runners, the ones with their expensive gear and designer trainers. But she refused to let that define her. She had something they didn't, a burning desire, a resilience forged in hardship, and a pair of worn-out shoes that carried the weight of her dreams. And that, she believed, was more powerful than anything money could buy. She would show them what she was made of. She would fly. The local park wasn't just a park to Maya, it was her training ground, her sanctuary, and her escape. The cracked asphalt track, the overgrown grass bordering the lanes, the rusty swings set in the distance, these were the sights and sounds of her ambition. She knew every imperfection of that track, every bump and divot, and she used them to her advantage. The early morning air was crisp and cool, carrying the scent of dew-kissed grass and blooming wildflowers. As the sun began to peek over the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, Maya would begin her warm-up routine. Stretching her muscles, feeling the familiar ache in her legs, she would mentally prepare herself for the grueling workout ahead. She ran laps around the track, her worn-out shoes pounding against the uneven surface. Each stride was a testament to her determination, each breath a symbol of her unwavering spirit. She visualized the finish line, the roar of the crowd, the feeling of victory. These mental images fueled her, pushing her to run faster, to push harder. Sometimes, stray dogs would wander onto the track, their tails wagging playfully. Maya would pause for a moment, offering them a friendly pat before continuing her run. She found solace in their presence, a reminder that even in the midst of hardship, there was still beauty and joy to be found. The park was also a gathering place for other locals. Elderly men playing chess on weathered benches, mothers pushing strollers along the paved paths, children laughing and playing on the swings, these were the familiar faces that populated Maya's world. She often wondered about their stories, their struggles, and their dreams. She would vary her training routine, incorporating sprints, interval runs, and long-distance jogs. She knew that to compete with the wealthier schools, she had to be smarter, more disciplined, and more resilient. She couldn't afford fancy equipment or personal trainers, but she had something they didn't, a burning desire to succeed. As the sun climbed higher in the sky, casting long shadows across the park, Maya would begin her cool-down routine. Stretching her tired muscles, she would reflect on her workout, analyzing her performance and identifying areas for improvement. She was her own coach, her own motivator, her own biggest critic. Before heading home, she would often sit on a bench, watching the world go by. She would observe the other people in the park, imagining their lives and their stories. She found inspiration in their resilience, their strength, and their unwavering spirit. The park was more than just a park, it was a microcosm of the world, a place where dreams were born and where hope never died. It was Maya's training ground, and she was ready to conquer it. Northwood Academy was everything Maya's school wasn't: manicured lawns, state-of-the-art facilities, and an air of effortless privilege. Their track team, the Northwood Eagles, was a reflection of that affluence. They sported matching uniforms in vibrant school colors, their running shoes gleaming and new. They had access to the best coaches, the latest training equipment, and a seemingly endless supply of resources. The contrast between Maya and the Northwood team was stark. While Maya patched her shoes and ran on a cracked track, the Eagles warmed up in their climate-controlled indoor facility. While Maya relied on her own grit and determination, the Eagles had a team of sports therapists and nutritionists catering to their every need. Their coach, Mr. Sterling, was a stern but respected figure. He had a reputation for turning talented athletes into champions, and he expected nothing less than perfection from his team. He instilled in them a sense of discipline and a competitive spirit, pushing them to their limits both physically and mentally. The team was led by two star athletes, Brittany, a graceful and elegant runner known for her speed and agility, and Chad, a powerful and muscular sprinter with an unmatched drive to win. They were the golden children of Northwood Academy, destined for greatness. Brittany and Chad, along with the rest of the Northwood team, often looked down on runners from other schools, particularly those from less privileged backgrounds. They saw them as inferior, lacking the resources and training necessary to compete at a high level. They were confident in their own abilities, secure in their privileged position. The Northwood Academy track was immaculate. A pristine oval of synthetic rubber, meticulously maintained and perfectly marked. Sprinklers hissed softly along the infield, keeping the grass a vibrant green. The air hummed with the quiet confidence of success. Maya knew that competing against Northwood would be a challenge, but she wasn't intimidated. She saw their privilege as a weakness, their reliance on resources as a crutch. She believed that her hard work, her determination, and her unwavering spirit could overcome any obstacle. She knew that she could beat them. She viewed the Northwood team as a symbol of everything she was fighting against: inequality, privilege, and the assumption that wealth equates to success. She was determined to prove them wrong, to show them that talent and hard work can triumph over any advantage. She would run harder, train smarter, and never give up, until she crossed that finish line ahead of them. The Eagles would learn that day what true strength really meant. The first track meet against Northwood Academy felt like stepping into another world. The air buzzed with an energy Maya wasn't used to, a blend of confidence, competition, and a subtle undercurrent of disdain. As she walked onto the track, her worn-out shoes scuffing against the pristine surface, she could feel the eyes of the Northwood team on her. Brittany, with her perfectly styled hair and designer sunglasses, raised an eyebrow as Maya approached. "Well, what do we have here?" she said, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "Looks like someone raided their grandma's closet for running shoes." Chad snickered, his muscular arms crossed over his chest. "Maybe she's going for the vintage look," he quipped, earning a chorus of laughter from his teammates. Maya's cheeks flushed, but she refused to let their words get to her. She straightened her shoulders, met Brittany's gaze, and said, "My shoes may be old, but they've carried me further than you can imagine." The laughter died down, replaced by a moment of awkward silence. Brittany, taken aback by Maya's unexpected retort, simply scoffed and turned away. As Maya began her warm-up routine, she could feel the weight of their judgment. They watched her every move, their eyes filled with amusement and disbelief. She ignored them, focusing on her breathing and her mental preparation. She knew that she had to block out the negativity and focus on the task at hand, running her best race. The other runners from her school, aware of the situation, offered Maya supportive nods and encouraging smiles. They knew her struggles, her dedication, and her unwavering spirit. They were her allies, her friends, and her biggest supporters. Before the race, Maya overheard Brittany and Chad whispering about her. "She doesn't stand a chance," Brittany said confidently. "She'll be lucky if she even finishes the race." Chad nodded in agreement. "She's just wasting her time. She's clearly out of her league." Maya clenched her fists, her anger simmering beneath the surface. She wanted to prove them wrong, to show them that she was more than just a girl with worn-out shoes. She was a runner, a competitor, and a force to be reckoned with. As she stepped up to the starting line, she took a deep breath and closed her eyes. She visualized the finish line, the feeling of victory, and the satisfaction of silencing her critics. She knew that she had to run with her heart, with her soul, and with everything she had. This was her chance to prove herself, to show the world what she was capable of. And she wouldn't let anyone, not even the Northwood Eagles, stand in her way. She would run like the wind. The starting gun fired, a sharp crack that shattered the tension in the air. Maya exploded off the line, her legs pumping, her arms driving. The taunts and jeers of the Northwood team faded into the background as she focused solely on the track ahead. Brittany and Chad surged ahead, their strides long and powerful. Maya refused to be intimidated. She maintained her pace, her eyes fixed on their backs. She knew that she had to run her own race, to trust her training, and to believe in her abilities. As they rounded the first turn, Maya began to close the gap. Her worn-out shoes pounded against the track, each stride fueled by her determination. She could hear the gasps of surprise from the Northwood crowd as she gained ground on their star athletes. By the halfway point, Maya was running neck and neck with Brittany. The two runners exchanged glances, a silent acknowledgement of each other's skill. Brittany's eyes narrowed, a flicker of anger crossing her face. She wasn't used to being challenged, especially by someone with Maya's background. Chad, running slightly behind, began to falter. His powerful strides lost their rhythm, his breathing becoming labored. He glanced over at Maya, a look of disbelief on his face. He couldn't understand how someone with her limited resources could be keeping up with him. In the final stretch, Maya unleashed her full potential. She dug deep, pushing past the pain and fatigue. Her legs burned, her lungs ached, but she refused to give up. She could see the finish line in sight, the cheering crowd, the possibility of victory. With a final burst of speed, Maya surged ahead, crossing the finish line just a fraction of a second ahead of Brittany. The crowd erupted in applause, a mixture of shock and admiration. Maya had done it. She had beaten the Northwood Eagles, despite their privilege and their disdain. Chad, finishing a distant third, could only stare in disbelief. He had been outrun, outmatched, and outclassed by a girl with worn-out shoes and an unwavering spirit. As Maya caught her breath, she could hear the whispers of the Northwood team. Their taunts had turned to murmurs of respect, their laughter replaced by stunned silence. They had underestimated her, and they had paid the price. Brittany approached Maya, a grudging look of admiration in her eyes. "You're good," she admitted, her voice barely audible. "Really good." Maya smiled, her heart filled with pride. "Thank you," she said, extending her hand. Brittany hesitated for a moment before shaking it, a sign of newfound respect. Maya had proven herself. She had shown the world that talent and hard work can triumph over any obstacle. She had silenced her critics and inspired her supporters. And she had done it all with a pair of worn-out shoes and an unwavering belief in herself. From that day on, they would never underestimate her again. And neither would she. Back home, in the quiet of her small room, Maya carefully laid out her battered running shoes. The victory against Northwood had been sweet, but it hadn't magically repaired the cracks and tears. With a sigh, she retrieved her small sewing kit, a collection of mismatched threads and well-worn needles. This wasn't the first time she'd mended her shoes, and she knew it wouldn't be the last. Each stitch was a testament to her resilience, her refusal to give up despite the odds. She carefully darned a hole in the side, her fingers nimble and practiced. The rhythmic motion was almost meditative, a way to calm her nerves and focus her thoughts. As she worked, she remembered her grandmother's words, "When life gives you lemons, Mija, you make lemonade." Maya knew that her lemons were her poverty, her worn-out shoes, and the constant judgment of others. But she was determined to make lemonade, to turn her struggles into triumphs. She thought about the other races she had run since that first meet against Northwood. Each time, she had faced the same ridicule, the same condescending glances. But each time, she had proven them wrong. She consistently placed in the top 3, often beating runners with far more resources and training. Her success hadn't come easy. She trained harder than anyone else, pushing herself to her limits every day. She studied running techniques online, learning how to improve her form and increase her speed. She ate healthy meals, even when it meant sacrificing other luxuries. She also found strength in the support of her grandmother and her friends. They cheered her on, encouraged her, and reminded her of her potential. They believed in her, even when she doubted herself. Sometimes, after a particularly difficult race, Maya would feel discouraged. She would question whether it was worth all the effort, all the sacrifice. But then she would remember her grandmother's words, the faces of her supporters, and the burning desire in her heart. And she would know that she couldn't give up. She had a dream, a goal, and she was willing to do whatever it took to achieve it. She wanted to go to college, to get an education, and to create a better life for herself and her grandmother. Running was her ticket, her opportunity, and she wasn't going to let anything stand in her way. As she finished mending her shoes, she held them up, admiring her handiwork. They weren't pretty, but they were strong, durable, and filled with her spirit. They were a symbol of her resilience, her determination, and her unwavering belief in herself. And she knew that with these shoes, she could conquer anything. The next race would be no different. She'd be ready. The weeks leading up to the championship race were a whirlwind of intense training and mounting pressure. Maya knew that this race was her chance, her opportunity to secure a college scholarship and change her life forever. The Northwood team, fueled by their earlier defeat, were more determined than ever to reclaim their dominance. Maya pushed herself harder than ever before, running until her legs ached and her lungs burned. She visualized the finish line, the cheering crowd, the feeling of victory. She knew that she had to be at her best if she wanted to compete against the Eagles. Her grandmother, sensing her anxiety, offered words of encouragement and support. "Remember, Mija," she said, "strength comes from within. You have the heart of a lion. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise." Maya took her grandmother's words to heart. She knew that she had to trust in herself, in her training, and in her unwavering spirit. She couldn't let the pressure get to her. She had to stay focused, stay positive, and stay true to herself. The championship race was held at a neutral venue, a large stadium filled with cheering fans from all over the state. The atmosphere was electric, buzzing with anticipation and excitement. Maya could feel the nervous energy radiating from the other runners, the coaches, and the spectators. As she walked onto the track, she spotted Brittany and Chad, their faces grim and determined. They glared at her, a silent warning that they wouldn't be so easily defeated this time. Maya met their gaze, her eyes filled with a quiet confidence. She wouldn't back down. The weather forecast for the day was ominous, thunderstorms and heavy rain. Maya wasn't worried. She had run in worse conditions before. She knew that she could handle anything that Mother Nature threw her way. Before the race, Maya took a moment to herself, closing her eyes and taking a deep breath. She visualized her race, her strides, her form. She reminded herself of her goals, her dreams, and her reasons for running. She was ready. She knew that the Northwood team would be tough competitors, but she wasn't afraid. She had faced adversity before, and she had always found a way to overcome it. She had the heart of a lion, the spirit of a champion, and a pair of worn-out shoes that carried the weight of her dreams. And she was ready to fly. The championship was about to begin. All of the preparation, all of the hard work, it all came down to this. The rain started just as the runners lined up at the starting blocks. Fat, heavy drops splattered against the track, turning the pristine surface into a slick and treacherous obstacle course. The wind howled, whipping through the stadium, carrying the scent of wet asphalt and nervous anticipation. Maya adjusted her starting blocks, her hands shaking slightly. She could feel the pressure building, the weight of her dreams pressing down on her. She knew that this race was more than just a competition, it was her future. The other runners looked apprehensive, their faces etched with concern. Brittany glanced nervously at her expensive running shoes, clearly worried about losing her footing. Chad scowled, his usual confidence replaced by a look of uncertainty. The starting official raised his gun, his voice booming through the stadium. "Runners, on your marks." Maya took a deep breath, focusing on her breathing and her mental preparation. She closed her eyes, visualizing her race, her strides, her form. She reminded herself of her goals, her dreams, and her reasons for running. Get set. She lowered herself into the starting blocks, her muscles tense and coiled. She could feel the adrenaline coursing through her veins, sharpening her senses and heightening her awareness. Bang! The starting gun fired, and the runners exploded off the line. Maya surged forward, her legs pumping, her arms driving. The rain lashed at her face, blurring her vision, but she refused to let it distract her. The track was even more slippery than she had anticipated. Several runners stumbled and faltered, their feet sliding out from under them. Brittany, running next to Maya, lost her footing and went down hard, her face contorted in pain. Chad, struggling to maintain his balance, veered off course, colliding with another runner and sending them both tumbling to the ground. The Northwood team's hopes of victory were quickly dissolving in the rain. Maya, despite her best efforts, was also struggling to maintain her grip on the slippery track. Her worn-out shoes, already damaged and fragile, were proving to be a major liability. With each stride, she could feel them losing traction, threatening to send her sprawling. She knew that she had to make a decision, and she had to make it fast. The gold was still in reach, but the conditions were getting worse, and worse. In a split-second decision, driven by instinct and desperation, Maya made her choice. She wouldn't let her worn-out shoes dictate her fate. With a swift motion, she kicked them off, sending them skidding across the wet track. A collective gasp rippled through the crowd. They couldn't believe what they had just witnessed. Was she crazy? Running barefoot in these conditions was unheard of, reckless even. Maya ignored the stares and the whispers. She could feel the cold, slick track beneath her bare feet, the rain pelting her skin. It was an unfamiliar sensation, but not an unpleasant one. It felt raw, primal, like a connection to the earth. She adjusted her stride, shortening her steps and increasing her cadence. She focused on maintaining her balance, her core muscles engaged, her eyes fixed on the finish line. The other runners, still struggling to regain their footing after the earlier mishaps, watched in amazement as Maya surged ahead, her bare feet flying across the track. She was running with a newfound freedom, a sense of liberation that she had never experienced before. The rain seemed to intensify, as if the heavens themselves were cheering her on. The wind howled, urging her forward, pushing her to her limits. She could feel the sting of the wet asphalt beneath her feet, but she ignored the pain. She was running for her future, for her dreams, for her grandmother. She wouldn't let anything stop her. As she rounded the final turn, she could see the finish line in sight. The crowd roared, their cheers echoing through the stadium. They were witnessing something extraordinary, something inspiring. Maya dug deep, summoning every ounce of strength and determination she possessed. She pushed past the pain, the fatigue, and the doubt. She could feel the finish line approaching, the possibility of victory within her grasp. With a final surge of speed, she crossed the finish line, her bare feet pounding against the track, her heart soaring with triumph. She had done it. She had won the championship, against all odds, despite the rain, despite the worn-out shoes, despite the doubts and the ridicule. She had flown. The crowd erupted, their cheers deafening. They were on their feet, applauding, celebrating her incredible achievement. Maya had not only won the race, but she had also won their hearts. She was a true champion, a symbol of hope and resilience, a testament to the power of the human spirit. As Maya crossed the finish line, a wave of relief washed over her, followed by an overwhelming sense of accomplishment. She had done it. She had achieved her dream. But the celebration was just beginning. As she caught her breath, she was approached by a tall, distinguished-looking man in a suit. He introduced himself as Mr. Thompson, a college scout from a prestigious university known for its excellent track program. "Maya," he said, his voice filled with admiration, "I have been watching you all season. Your talent, your determination, and your unwavering spirit are truly remarkable. What you did out there today was nothing short of extraordinary." He paused, then continued, "I am here to offer you a full scholarship to our university. We believe that you have the potential to become a world-class athlete, and we want to give you the opportunity to reach your full potential." Maya was speechless. She had dreamed of this moment for so long, but she never truly believed that it would actually happen. Tears welled up in her eyes, blurring her vision. I don't know what to say," she stammered, her voice choked with emotion. Mr. Thompson smiled. "You don't have to say anything. Just say yes." Without hesitation, Maya replied, "Yes. Yes, I accept. Thank you so much." Mr. Thompson shook her hand warmly. "Congratulations, Maya. You have earned this opportunity. We are thrilled to have you join our team." As Mr. Thompson walked away, Maya was surrounded by her grandmother, her friends, and her supporters. They hugged her, cheered her, and celebrated her victory. Her grandmother, her eyes filled with tears of pride, whispered in her ear, "I always knew you could do it, Mija. I am so proud of you." Maya smiled, her heart overflowing with gratitude. She knew that she couldn't have done it without her grandmother's love, her support, and her unwavering belief in her. As the stadium emptied and the rain subsided, Maya stood on the track, taking it all in. She had come so far, overcome so many obstacles, and achieved so much. She had proven that anything is possible with hard work, determination, and a little bit of faith. She knew that her journey was just beginning. College would be a new challenge, a new opportunity, and a new adventure. But she was ready. She had the heart of a lion, the spirit of a champion, and a pair of bare feet that had carried her to victory. And she was ready to fly. The future was hers for the taking. Years passed. Maya thrived at the university, excelling both academically and athletically. She became a star on the track team, breaking records and winning championships. She never forgot her roots, though. She always remembered the small, weather-beaten house on the edge of town, her grandmother's unwavering love, and the pair of worn-out shoes that had carried her to victory. She used her platform to advocate for underprivileged athletes, raising money for scholarships and equipment. She wanted to give other young people the same opportunity that she had been given, to help them achieve their dreams, regardless of their background. One day, Maya received an invitation to return to her old high school as a guest speaker. She was honored and excited to share her story with the students. As she stood on the stage, looking out at the sea of faces, she felt a wave of nostalgia wash over her. She remembered the days when she was just a poor girl with worn-out shoes, dreaming of a better life. She told the students about her struggles, her challenges, and her triumphs. She shared her grandmother's words of wisdom, her friends' unwavering support, and her own unwavering belief in herself. She also talked about the importance of resilience, of never giving up, and of always striving for your dreams, no matter how difficult they may seem. I know that many of you may be facing challenges in your lives, she said, her voice filled with compassion. You may feel like you don't have the resources, the support, or the opportunity to succeed. But I want you to know that you are wrong. You have everything you need inside of you. You have the power to overcome any obstacle, to achieve any goal, and to create the life that you deserve. She paused, then continued, remember, it's not about where you come from, it's about where you're going. It's not about what you have, it's about what you do with what you have. And it's not about what others think of you, it's about what you think of yourself. As she finished her speech, the students erupted in applause, their cheers echoing through the auditorium. They were inspired, motivated, and empowered by her words. They knew that they could achieve anything they set their minds to, just like Maya. After the speech, students lined up to meet Maya, to thank her, and to share their own stories. She listened patiently, offering words of encouragement and support. She wanted to make a difference in their lives, to help them see their potential, and to inspire them to reach for their dreams. As she was leaving the school, she noticed a young girl standing alone, watching her from a distance. The girl looked shy and uncertain, but there was a spark of determination in her eyes. Maya approached the girl, offering her a warm smile. "Hi," she said, "my name is Maya." The girl hesitated for a moment, then replied, "My name is Sophia." "It's nice to meet you, Sophia," Maya said. "I saw you listening to my speech. Did you have any questions?" Sophia nodded shyly. I want to be a runner too," she said, "but I don't have the right shoes." Maya smiled knowingly. "I understand," she said. "But let me tell you something. It's not about the shoes. It's about the heart. It's about the determination. And it's about the belief in yourself." She paused, then continued, "I started out with nothing. I had worn-out shoes, limited resources, and a lot of doubts. But I never gave up. I kept running, kept training, and kept believing in myself. And that's what made all the difference." She reached into her bag and pulled out a brand new pair of running shoes. "Here," she said, handing them to Sophia. "These are for you. They're not magic shoes, but they might help you get started. But remember, the real magic is inside of you." Sophia's eyes widened with wonder. She accepted the shoes with a grateful smile, her eyes shining with hope. "Thank you," she said, her voice barely audible. "I won't let you down." Maya smiled. "I know you won't," she said. "Just remember to run with your heart, and never give up on your dreams." As Maya walked away, she glanced back at Sophia, who was already lacing up her new shoes. She knew that Sophia had the potential to be a great runner, and that she would overcome any obstacle in her path. Maya continued to use her platform to inspire others, to advocate for change, and to make a difference in the world. She never forgot where she came from, and she always remembered the importance of giving back. Years later, Maya was inducted into the Track and Field Hall of Fame. It was a prestigious honor, a testament to her incredible achievements and her lasting impact on the sport. As she stood on the stage, accepting the award, she thought about her journey, her struggles, and her triumphs. She thought about her grandmother, her friends, and all the people who had supported her along the way. She also thought about the pair of worn-out shoes that had carried her to victory, and the little girl named Sophia who had inspired her to give back. "I am so grateful for this honor," she said, her voice filled with emotion. "But I want to share it with all of you. Because I didn't get here alone. I had a lot of help, a lot of support, and a lot of inspiration." She paused, then continued, "I want to dedicate this award to all the underprivileged athletes who are struggling to achieve their dreams, regardless of their circumstances. I want them to know that they are not alone, that they are worthy, and that they have the power to change the world." She paused, her voice cracking with emotion. And I want to thank my grandmother, Elena, for always believing in me, for always supporting me, and for always reminding me that strength comes from within. I love you, Grandma." The crowd erupted in applause, their cheers echoing through the stadium. They were moved by her words, inspired by her story, and grateful for her example. As Maya stood on the stage, bathed in the spotlight, she knew that she had come a long way from the small, weather-beaten house on the edge of town. She had overcome countless obstacles, faced numerous challenges, and achieved incredible success. But she also knew that her journey was far from over. She had a lot more to give, a lot more to achieve, and a lot more to inspire. She smiled, her heart filled with hope, gratitude, and determination. She was ready to continue running, continue inspiring, and continue giving back, for as long as she lived. She knew that she had a responsibility to use her success to make the world a better place, and she was determined to fulfill that responsibility. And as she looked out at the cheering crowd, she knew that she wasn't just running for herself anymore. She was running for all the underprivileged athletes, for all the dreamers, and for all the people who believed in the power of hope. She was running for a better future. The camera pans out, showing the stadium lights shining brightly against the night sky, as Maya stands on the stage, a true champion, a symbol of hope, and a testament to the power of the human spirit. Epilogue. Years later, a statue of Maya stands proudly in the local park where she used to train. It depicts her running barefoot, her arms outstretched, her face filled with determination. The statue is a reminder to everyone who visits the park that anything is possible with hard work, resilience, and a little bit of faith. And every year, on the anniversary of her championship victory, a group of young runners gathers at the statue to honor Maya's legacy. They run barefoot around the track, their hearts filled with hope and determination, knowing that they too can achieve their dreams, no matter where they come from or what challenges they face. They all run for a better future. But the final scene is not at the statue. The camera focuses one last time on a track. Not the cracked and uneven track of Maya's childhood, but a brand new, state-of-the-art running track. The sun is shining, the sky is blue, and the air is filled with the sounds of cheering and encouragement. And there, running on the track, is Maya. She's wearing new running shoes, perfectly fitted and designed for speed and performance. She's smiling, her face radiant with joy and accomplishment. Her stride is powerful, her form is flawless, and her spirit is soaring. She's not running barefoot this time, but the memory of that rainy championship race is still fresh in her mind. She remembers the feeling of the cold, wet track beneath her feet, the wind howling in her ears, and the unwavering determination in her heart. She knows that she wouldn't be where she is today without those experiences, without those challenges, and without those worn-out shoes. They taught her the importance of resilience, the power of hope, and the value of never giving up on her dreams. As she crosses the finish line, she raises her arms in victory, her face beaming with pride. She has come a long way, overcome countless obstacles, and achieved incredible success. But she also knows that her journey is far from over. She has a lot more to give, a lot more to achieve, and a lot more to inspire. She smiles, her heart filled with